Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream, no less. The fabled round 3 talkback stream. How are we doing? Good, I hope. I guess whoever's here can go first. And I'm seeing a Nin. I'm certainly seeing a camcorder. And I'm certainly seeing a mamarillas as well. I love how respectful people are. Everyone's all muted.
How does it how does it start?
It kind of just goes, to be honest. I will give my preamble regarding don't be careful with your words and whatnot, not to like leak anything about your team's ongoing thing. Would hate to have a disqualification by like technicality. Keep it relevant to the park and your own experience, all that good stuff. Other than that, you're all smart people. Nothing's going to go wrong. It's just a relaxing hangout with the gang. So without further ado, please feel free to pipe up if you'd like, Nin. Tell us a bit about bugs and bots, and presuming that you'd like to go first, that is.
Yeah, sure. So the biggest thing, I guess, inspiration for this park is Helldivers, because I'm obsessed with that game, and then it kind of turned into more of Helldivers inspo, which is Starship Troopers, and the whole like propaganda meets another bug hunt type energy stuff, and so that's basically how I pitched it. I was like, I just want to make a big bug and bot park. The name initially, like we had, I think that we had the name from day one, and then mamarillas, if you want to speak up, I'm pretty sure we had the name from day one. I don't think we had any other names.
Yeah, you pitched it as bugs and bots, and like that's what would be in the park, and that's what you called it. So that's what we did.
Yeah, and that actually came from a joke. I was just talking about Helldivers with someone, and in that game, for anyone unfamiliar, you play bugs and bots against bugs and bots, and so the initial idea was that there's going to be 3 factions in this. There's going to be basically like a battle between humans, big bugs, and then robots. But it kind of became this like construction equipment robot thing, because we really like the color yellow, and we wanted to do black and yellow over and over and over. And I was drilling it into mamarillas and everyone else that, hey, we're making construction yellow. And even like from day one when we were making our little avatars for the Lonely Hearts Club, I was like, I want like caterpillar yellow. And so that's pretty much it. We again, like for the Helldivers thing, we were actually going to like expand it more into like a plugin. This is when Dinosaurs was like pushing into plugins like a lot. You know, this is like before round 1 had even begun or gotten released or whatever. And so the idea was going to be like a more interactive game, or interactive park where like you could like type in little codes, just like Helldivers. Like in Helldivers, if you want to get like a what they call like stratagem or like a kill streak or whatever, you like hit the WASD keys like W8, W, or like up, down, left, right to like call in different attacks. So we were like, oh, dude, that'd be so cool if like you like beep, 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 and then it would shoot off a rocket, or something would blow up or whatever. And so that was the driving factor for quite a while, for a few weeks, until I think it was week 2 when the week 2 plugin fiasco was kind of happening, and like it wasn't as well received as we had liked. And like some people don't particularly like plugins, or some people struggle with installing. So we're like, hey, let's just keep it clean and make like a solid park, because at the same time it was already becoming a pretty solid park. And I was super into like art directing. And I was like drilling it into everyone's heads of like, making things a certain way. I think everyone knew about the whole like nuke culture, which is like, does it look cool? No, okay, then nuke it. And so like, yeah, so for a while, like I was moving cross country as well during it. And so for a while we couldn't even build anything. Well, we could build and we were building stuff. We were building stuff off the map. And like I kind of also chose the theme, like this industrial vibe, because I was like, oh, cool. We can build everything off map, make it modular, and then just bring it in piece by piece. And it's kind of like in character to use that. So for weeks, I think Mamarillas was just making it himself, basically, like just doing like tests for robots and tests for like
And
platforms.
rocks. Just rocks.
Yeah, and,
Oh, look how many rocks there are, Kyle.
Well, I was getting to that. Yeah. I was like, and then eventually we were like, do we need something like on the map itself? So I sketched out a lot of like the big macro, like plans, like I don't know, sort of blue sky, like just I don't know, like overhead views of the park. Disneyland's is what we call it in like video games. Fun fact. It's like if you're going to draw a map, you make it Disneyland. But anyways, I was like, you just need to make rocks. I was like, what can I give this guy? Because at the same time, I didn't really know his like skill level at all. So I was like, just make rocks. I was like, anyone can do that. So I sketched out. We quickly came up with like the general shape of everything, at least from like the one main view. And then so yeah, Mike here, he went to work on making rocks for a few weeks, I think, before I even started on the park. Something that we had like ideas for would be like obviously like the giant bot. That was always from day one. We wanted a giant, huge robot. It totally like changed. It changed like the way it kind of looked, but it was always going to be this like multi-legged thing, kind of like crawling up the cliffside. The excavator, the mine shafts, whatever, they were always going to be there. Initially, they're going to be like transporting people up and down from like level to level. Look, the escalator lift things. Go to the far left, underneath the bot. Yeah. Those were like, that was a day one. Like if you saw like save number one, basically, like when I finally got in, like those were there kind of thing. And that was, it was going to like play into a bit more of like, oh yeah, the people were going to be using one, or maybe like a ride or whatever was going to be using one, but the other one was going to be like transporting rocks. And so I don't think those rocks were even added until like the last week or something, but that changed my life when I saw those things moving. Yeah, and then like the robot itself was, again, it was like I made like Mamarillas would make a leg, and then I would make a leg and be like, that's okay, but do it like this, and then like he would make something that would go adjusted, and it was like this cool dance between us of like how to figure it out. And this was all off map too. I think I made the one with the spinning drill bit. I think that was when I was like, let me just do it real quick, and I like made the claw bit and then the connection point, and I was like, you have to look at connection points, and there's so many pictures of like construction, like bulldozers and whatever else in our chat. I was like, look at how they're big and chunky, and I think beefy was our word that we kept using, was beef, like make everything beefy.
And I disapproved because it wasn't vegan.
Yeah. A lot of people were like, what's up with the beef? And it's like, you have to make everything beefy looking. Like, nothing could look flimsy. And I think a lot of the early on bot stuff, we were using too much like scaffolding, like too much truss, little tiny skinny rods and stuff like that. And it was not working because it looked like it would be. That was cool. And and then like even like the top wasn't even a thing until I think like the last week is when we couldn't really decide, because at first like we had so many drawings and stuff, and like sometimes it was like super crabby looking, sometimes it was like more of like an ant or whatever, and that was kind of our cool like, oh wait, it's like the bugs versus the bugs. But then I was like, make it look kind of like a like an oil rig, or like a battleship, like the tower on a aircraft carrier kind of thing, like the bridge. But again, that was like going back and forth between us. I think one night I just came in and like added half of it, and I was like, boom, there we go. I don't know. Camcorder did the coaster. We really needed a coaster, and we wanted to go kind of old school head to head, where like it's driven by one massive like dueling coaster. And so she came in and built those. That was pretty sick. I really wanted to do like that excavator, like the blade flat ride thing. It was gonna be two giant robots at first, like the big giant crab one that we're looking at, but on the back there's gonna be like a smaller, like 3-legged one or something like that. And then one of the arms was gonna be a big excavator thing. But I think we just ran out of time, and I ended up just building it as a standard support. That was a lot of it too. A lot of it we just ran out of time, simply put. I think we were moving pretty quick as far as like reusing things, like the circular tanks. That was a save. We just made those one night, and we were like, oh shit, this can like totally be reused and like altered really quickly. I would just be like, yo, mama, add more rocks here. Add more, like anytime I needed a band-aid, I was just like, yo, Mike, add more stuff. Just add more rocks. I kind of felt bad because I would go to sleep. Like, just add more rocks, please, thanks. And he's like, yeah, well, I only have like a couple hours to work. I'm like, make the most boring thing you possibly can to like keep it moving. A lot of the sci-fi buildings, we just use Midjourney to just like generate. I was like, make it look like, I kept looking at like flak towers from like World War II. I thought that was super cool. And I was like, yeah, just do that. I was like, flak tower and like barren landscape, blah, 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 sci-fi. And then like, I guess we knew that we were going to have a lot. We knew we were going to have a lot of gray, and we did experiment with other colors. I didn't particularly like the other colors. Like I wanted to make them black, but they were kind of too intense because the pathways were black and stuff like that, and all the pipes and whatnot were black. But I really wanted the walls to be somewhat detailed, even though they're kind of basic. So if you go to that one picture or that one, the main angle, Sammy, like the aerial angle, if you remember, like if you rotate twice, yeah, and then go all the way to the right to that tower on the far right. So this one we worked on forever because this was kind of our beauty corner, so to speak. Like so everything else on the park artistically followed what this guy looked like. Like how to do paneling, how to do like what the color scheme is, like the blue and yellow, how to do like the walkways at the top, kind of how to make like the round stuff, like the level of detail with the pipes, going up the sides and shit like that. I asked for so many objects for this park, and we only made probably like half of them, which is still a lot. So I was like, hey, can someone take like the water slide and make it smaller? And then like I think someone in week 2 or something made that pipe kit, which is amazing. But I also kind of like at least for my style, it's reusing a lot of like RCP native stuff, and so I really like that we got water slides. Excuse you. Yeah, I don't know what else. Mamarillas, what you got?
I missed a chunk there in the middle because my internet sucks balls. So I missed some of what you were talking about. I also don't know if people can hear me right now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh,
well,
sick.
on the upside, Mamarillas, everything
Oh.
Kyle was saying was really boring, so you didn't actually miss anything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Forget that guy, dude. No, like I would say like for me, a bunch of working on this park was like learning new things about the ride vehicle editor to make the big fucking legs on the robot. So that was like a learning experience, and that was cool. And if we're sharing like insights on making it, we accidentally deleted one of the legs like 10 minutes before submission, and I was just screaming, rebuilding it. Just literally just shrieking, going off.
I've never been so stressed. Yeah.
We knew that, like, dude, we have to have all the legs on the freaking robot. People will notice. But like, yeah, it was in the middle of running out of time. Like, we ran into some weird issues. I would broadcast this to everybody that if you're having trouble with objects disappearing out of your scenery selection, turn on sandbox mode, because that was like screwing us up for like a week. And then the queues were a hot mess. So like, yeah, I think towards the end, there's a lot of stuff we hope to do that we just ran into like really like technical slowdowns on some stuff with objects and like, yeah, some stuff with like the queue lines and pathing and stuff. But
yeah, we lost probably like a week between all the object weirdness that was going on. Cause like we just realized that we couldn't like select certain objects, like eyedropper it. And then, yeah, basically we lost a week of like, I think we were like half of us were afraid to touch the park because anytime that we started using an object, it would disappear. So that was kind of weird. Yeah, the leg fiasco. Like if you can actually tell that one of the joints is miscolored. It's yellow. The one on the right there, like bottom right, like the one on the left, it has a black connection point, but the one on the right, fun fact, is not. It has a yellow one. And that was it was black. We had camcorder go and like take a photo or like take the screenshot. Because I think Mama and I, we were just like passing the park back and forth like every minute or so. And like we couldn't use multiplayer because we like scenery manager like a lot. Like that's how this entire park was built, was like copy and paste. But yeah, like she posted the picture and then we were like, oh shit, like the leg is gone. And then we had like a minute to go. So I threw the park at Mike to like do it. And then I was like, there's no time to name anything. We can't go back a save because we had done too much. And I was like, just zoom out and save it. And then we just threw it to POSIX. We're like, here you go. We hope that worked. So there is a little bit of sloppiness at the end. Like some stuff is not named. I hate that Splash Boats is called Splash Boats and not like a proper name. There's a lot of that. There's a couple unfinished things. Like, yeah, there's a few things like missing, like a couple fences and stuff like that were like misclicked all over the place. But it's
What
whatever.
would you have named it?
Splash Boats River Adventure. I'm just kidding. I have no idea.
Love it.
Yeah.
Sulfur Soaker is a great name, by the way.
Yeah, Sulfur Soaker's fun. Like, this was my way of building a Jurassic Park ride without building Jurassic Park. Because, like, the story of the ride is very similar. Like, we could have used more bugs, but it's definitely like, oh, it's a tour of the facility, and then, like, the bugs break loose, and then you go crazy. And then, yeah, Sulfur Soaker's kind of like the Pteranodon flyers at IOA. And then the dueling coasters were supposed to be like Velocicoaster at first. Like, we're only going to have one of them, and then became two. I'm really glad that we went with two. I think that's way better.
Is Cam around to do voice?
I don't know. She said that she...
I think so.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
How we doing? Tell us your secrets on how to make cool roller coasters.
So my secret is I don't know shit about any roller coaster that's been made in like the last 15 years. I don't look at references. I haven't gone on a roller coaster in like 8 years, but I can make a sick fantasy dueler for some reason. I think this is like I had the 3 dual guitar solo coasters, and I have this one. For some reason, making duelers is fun. I think having to like make them sync up and do cool stuff with each other gives a fun constraint to like work off of. Because otherwise it's just like option paralysis. It's like, where do I even start? What do I make it do? I could do anything. And when you have a dueler, you have to like make it work within those constraints. So I feel like that kind of helped push it along a little bit. I also got a cool sketch from Nen. Very like high level sketch, but I felt like that it captured the vibe really well, and I really wanted to like having it go in and out of the caves. I thought that would be really cool, and it definitely sketch. I wanted that bit to feel kind of like old school in just the scope of having a really big, unrealistic coaster that just interacts with the entire map. I think that's a really cool thing that used to happen in earlier head-to-heads that we don't see quite as much anymore. And that was like one of my favorite things. I also did all the supports. I also didn't look at references. I maybe looked up a Velocicoaster for like a few seconds. And then I kind of wanted it to look like both high-tech and kind of makeshift and have all those like crazy connections and just have it connecting to the rocks however it could. Try to like thread the line between like plausible realistic supports and more like fantasy type supports. Make it look kind of thrown together and mechanical in that way. So yeah, that's the coaster.
Amazing. It turned out really, really well because I was a bit nervous about it conceptually when, like, before it was in, and I'm like, well, no one's this epic, right? to like put it in, and because I feel like it came together really quickly as well, and then you just did it, and I was like, oh, okay. I guess people have that. Yeah.
Honestly, I've built like once between starting on this park and Micro Madness. And in that time, like, I opened the game and I'm like, oh, this is like completely fucking different. There's like, this bench has 10,000 objects. The color palette's different. There's like a billion new track pieces. Shit. So the learning curve was kind of weird. And I feel like I did like a not so good revision of it, and I'm like, oh god, can I do this? And then I like took a step back, did it again, and was like, okay, all right, this is sick now. We're chilling. I feel like it took like 6 or 8 hours to like design it because there was so much like making a change and then having the trains run and like running the game at like turbo speed to get to the like element I needed to sync up. So it was kind of time consuming just to do the like the iterative process of like making sure that every part of the ride was synced. But it was fun though. I'm glad I got to contribute that.
Yeah, I hadn't considered how stuff like the speed up function and the ghost train function would sort of really accelerate the process of like iteration as well. So although it took ages and you were like really perfectionist about it, imagine how long it would have been without all these like really cool tools. Because the last jeweler I did was in Loopy Landscapes, where I had to sort of do it the old-fashioned way. So do you feel like that factored into the sort of being able to do it in about 8 hours-ness of it? How it sort of just appeared one day. One day there wasn't a roller coaster, and the next day there was 2 amazing roller coasters.
Everyone else like builds on pause, but because I feel like most of the actual in-game years in the park were me running it at like the hyperspeed mode to get the coaster to where I needed to look at and to like remove all the guests and try to fix and then get them back in. Because there's a lot of that too.
Outstanding. Are there any parts of this park that you feel like should have got a bit more of a spotlight? Any secrets in there that you want to like draw attention to now you've got everyone's attention? That's an open question for everybody.
I didn't expect the ant farm to get as much attention as it did, because I think that was added, if the park was due on Wednesday, I think it was added like Tuesday. And that was a joke. Like we were like, haha, let's make like an ant farm. Like I don't know. And then that became like a driving narrative factor for the park, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel like at a certain point we were like, oh shit, like the humans are kind of the bad guys, and then things like the ant farm happened, and like the torture chamber down below where the bugs getting electrocuted and they're riding them and stuff like that.
Yeah, I thought the Starship Troopers meme was gonna hit harder than it did. I think only like 1 or 2 people called that out. But initially, that was going to be more hidden, where you actually clicked on a peep that was named like I'm doing my part, and then within their window, like the little peep window, it pops up. We have like one screenshot buried deep in our Discord of that. But then we were like, let's just throw it on a TV. The giant like anti-aircraft flak tower thing with the guy with the violin. That's my favorite detail in the entire park. And because like right there is where like the music and the audio and whatnot is like really like just super driving. And
oh yeah, obviously we've got it streaming on mute here, but I was away for this bit. I didn't see who did all the audio. Was it Cam?
I did most of it.
So I feel like that's a really huge aspect of the park. When I open it up, I'm always like, it's adding so much.
For it, I think Jens did took that like main like the song and put it in, and then there's 3 other kind of audio tracks, which are there's the shooting sounds and the like the talking
the radio chatter.
Talking.
Yeah,
and then the last one's the like ambience. So all of those were pretty fun, and like what I was saying, like, oh, I like opened the game for the first time. I'm like, oh, what the fuck is this game? Like, I don't know how to play this anymore. but the audio, like all three of those tracks took me about like 45 minutes total because that's like what I actually do. So I was like, oh, this is easy compared to playing Roller Coaster Tycoon. Basically for the guns, I had like 2 shooting samples that Nin sent that I think were from Halo. One was kind of like a burst, and one was like a single shot. And I just kind of made them into like little clips where it'd be like a round of like 5 or 6 shots. And then I copied those onto a bunch of different tracks and kind of like spaced them out. I tried to make some of them close up and some far away. So the close-up ones were like louder, they were like center pan, they had more high frequencies and less reverb, and then the farther away ones, they had only low frequencies and they had a lot more reverb. I tried to design the reverbs to make it sound like it was outside, so I kind of have like a reflections that are up close, like bouncing off the rocks, and then I have a bigger like echo, so it's like the sound of if you're outside and you like kind of like we're like facing a cliff and you like yelled and you hear it like echo back. And I put that kind of like a slapback, like a half-second slapback echo in there on the shooting, to kind of make it sound like what it would sound like if you're on that like cliff and there was a shooting sound. And then there's a couple explosions in there too. Obviously the talking was was a hit with people. I think it was Hex and a couple other mamarillas did I'm going in raw one, and yeah, I was just kind of processing all those samples, making it sound like a radio. Oh, and then the ambience, you can hear these bug sounds. I went on this sound free sound, which just has like free open source audio samples. And what came up when I searched for like squishy bug sounds was a sample of somebody cooking bacon. Not only was it someone cooking bacon, the sample said Kyle cooking bacon, which I thought was
hell yeah.
So the bug sounds in the cave are actually the sound of someone named Kyle cooking bacon. And it actually works perfect as a creepy, squishy bug sound.
Gross.
I had no idea.
Well, amazing, guys. Is there anything else that you would like to mention before we sort of move on to the next thing? Or do you think we've covered all of the?
No, I mean, I'll use a public forum to be like, it was really cool having good art direction from Kyle. You know, nuke me harder, daddy. Let's go. Let's keep building.
Yeah, I think this was the most fun I've had. Go ahead.
I'm so scared to build anything at first. I'm like, I'm gonna get nuked. But then like it ended up being really chill. And I was glad I got to be a part of it.
Let me post we had a design philosophy emerge. So let me post that. I don't know if this is NDA.
You're gonna get sued. That's
sorry, JK.
Oh man, the secret source has been leaked. Yeah, guys, what an outstanding park, and I'm glad that this one was our park, because I imagine it would have been very scary to go up against, but we'll find out perhaps soon what the Hurricanes thought of this park as well, and their own beautiful, beautiful park, because theirs was outstanding as well. A really well-earned victory, guys. Congratulations. And yeah, thank you so much for jumping in and chatting to me about it. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure all the folks listening at home are very appreciative as well, because this is one of the parks of this contest. I think it's going to be a memorable one. So congratulations, all the hard work was worth it. All of the bloodshed that came from missing legs and missing objects, it all panned out in the end. So huge congratulations, and thank you so much for coming and chatting to us about it.
Absolutely, no problem.
Lots of love, everyone. Who's about? Who's next on the chopping block to get roasted live on stream?
Well, I guess since we were in the matchup with this park, we might be next.
Yeah. Hi, Kumba. How you doing?
I am well. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah. I'm very excited to hear about this park because I always love a Kumba park.
We made a museum. I don't know what else you'll need to know, but I'm here to help you.
I want to know everything. Tell us the story. Take us back to square one.
Well, if we go tile by tile, there's a lot of grass on the outside, some walls. Well, you're looking at the entry hub. This museum was fairly influenced by a museum in Miami, the Frost, Patricia Frost, I can't even remember the full name, Science Museum. It's got a lot of features that we did borrow from it, like the two buildings kind of separated down the middle with the walkways, and the diagonal elevators were one of many custom ride trains that we had for the park. So yeah, it was technically it was Congoy's idea. I had another idea kind of similar. My original idea was for an interior park, but when he mentioned museum, it got me thinking I'd love to make a museum. So that's where we went from there. Yes, that's a very good cutaway on the elevators.
Like it would rain, shut off sensors. It would say the condition too bad. But then the rain would clear up and it wouldn't let you turn it back on. Because it's
He's getting muted. Shut up, Parker. You've been banished.
Right.
I'm going to forget to turn him back on now, and it's going to be really bad because he won't be able to talk on this server.
Okay.
Someone remind me.
He's your teammate. I'll let you handle him. Sometimes you got to drag your teammates away.
Sometimes you do, yeah. He's getting roughed up after the stream.
Oh yeah, no, you got to let him know. Oh, you can see the QR code there. But yeah, no, there were so many contributions from non-builders on this map. The QR code that was Levis, he did the code and object, and even tossed together a website for us, which was pretty awesome. And the CTRs were really outstanding, especially from Kinos. I know Levis helped with the elevator. Split Vision did quite a few. You can see the solar panels. Really love the solar panels. I think we're going to see a lot more of those solar panels in this contest. And,
yeah, those are amazing.
Yeah, no, just in general, it's a lot of fun to build this. A lot of fun to, have it somewhat based off something in my hometown where I was able to go there, and the team actually referred to it as you got boots on the ground. So I wasn't wearing boots, but yeah, no, I did go to the museum and check it out. It was fun.
Outstanding.
So I'm sure you have some questions.
Oh, I have loads. What was it like? What is your process when building, like, specifically for Cutaway View? Was it the case that was there a lot of like building off map and then stacking it up like a big Lego set once it's all done, or did you sort of build it in situ?
Yeah, no, the individual exhibits, a lot of them were built off map, but as far as like the actual layers, we knew from the beginning, we decided, no, we're going to start at the bottom. We're going to work our way up. There was even some debate whether it was going to be 2 or 3 levels based on time. Fortunately, we were just able, time did get a little tight. Yeah, those cutaways, especially Terry's work, is really incredible with the details he put in. He's here in the chat too, so he'll jump in soon. And Congoy with his help on the coaster was really incredible. But yeah, we started from the bottom down. I took the lead on the actual structure of the building, and I'd help builders with the floor plan. I know Otter, like I laid out, like specifically, well, we can do this here, that there. There's gonna be an elevator here. There's gonna be a stairwell here. Don't forget to put bathrooms there. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of what we did because no one's really done interiors like this since Stardust. So it was a fun, and again, most of the exhibits were built off map. Not all of them, especially if it had a ride attached. We just sort of put it there when we got there. I don't think we even got ahead of ourselves. We just started ground up, and we're pretty disciplined. The first thing that was built on the map was the coaster. I started with the initial layout, and then Congoy came in and did a lot of help with that. Congoy, you there?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
How you
So
doing,
maybe,
mate?
maybe you could tell them how you fixed up my coaster.
Oh yeah, sure. So as Kumba said, it was his vision. I threw out the idea in the chat to do a museum, but this was kind of his vision, and we helped him make it. And I thought it came out really cool. I was really nervous in the beginning. I was like, "You want to do a building with cutaway view all the way through? What? Like that sounds miserable." I was really nervous about it, and then as we started building the layers, it was super cool. So he put down the first coaster layout, and then I gave him this kind of feedback. I'll put it in the chat. There's one moment here. What I wanted to add to it, I was like, it's a museum. I think this kind of coaster needs to have a show scene where it stops and looks at something museum-y. And then he also had this idea to have the coaster duel with itself. And most of his layout's kind of the same. Like it was going to be a top hat, it was going to be a swing launch, it was going to have a curved spike. But I kind of came in and finessed it and got the duel to sync up. I also wanted to change it to 3 trains instead of, he originally had a really long train, and I was like, museum probably wouldn't have that much capacity. So I did something closer to like that new Batman ride. Gotham City Escape, I think it's called. It's an Intamin 3-train ride. And then, I got it synced up. And then we started working on the transfer track. And I put in a kind of mock-up prototype. I'll post here in the chat too. It was kind of a proof of concept of like, hey, if we have a CTR that looks like GigaTrack, we could do the switch track here. And so Split Vision stepped in and helped make that possible. There's a trick that's really hard. In order to have 2 stations back to back, like on the tiles next to each other, station 1 and station 2. I'm getting really into the depths of the hack now, but
please do.
You have to have a CTR with special properties for the spacing between the vehicles. If there's space between the vehicles, it will think it's entering one station and exiting the other station at the same time, and your game will crash or it'll get stuck. It won't move anymore. So you have to have a CTR with a spacing of 0. But on top of that, the game doesn't like loading CTRs with spacing 0. So you have to do a workaround to get the CTR even into the game without crashing your game. So be careful with that one. Anyways, we got it to work, and I think it looks amazing. I was really happy with that one.
Yeah.
The timing itself, if you have cutaway view on, if you want to go all the way to the bottom. So under the map, I hid a car ride with a bunch of stations. And I'm using the car ride. I didn't invent this hack. I stole it from someone, but I'm using the car ride as a timer. And as it enters each station, that's trigger for all the different mechanics on the ride. So one of the stations, sets off the pendulum. Another station sets off the garage door opening. Another station sets off the transfer track or the switch track going one direction. And then the last station switches it back. So you have to sync it all together with all the different CTRs and the coaster itself. Pretty fun hack to get down, and I think it came out great.
Wow.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
And that
involved,
dueling
to say
timing
the
there,
least.
the dueling timing, I'm really happy with too.
Yeah, because you don't want them at the same time. You want them to be able to look at each other.
Yep, they're kind of racing.
Yeah, this was incredible work, and Congoy has been a fantastic member of the team. I can't believe I was lucky enough to pick him in round 12, and he's got to go down in H2H history as one of the best last round picks ever. And he comes from a NCSO background and was still able to make 20% worth of contributions this map. Yeah, no, these hacks are really something else.
Dang, thanks, Kumba. I'm blushing.
Came from NCSO, but we try not to hold that against him.
Yeah.
I did some CSO work on this park too. I helped fill in some back rooms. I put some crowd scenes. Did a couple of little exhibits. Yeah, good stuff.
What would you say? This is a question for all of you. By the way, this park has 4 of my favorite builders on it, so it was really a shame to absolutely destroy you guys.
Well, no. It was eight votes. 8 votes. That's it. We got 42%.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you from all the way at the top of the charts.
Those were 8 strong votes.
1% ahead of us in the standings.
So, you're gonna have to speak up.
I don't have to speak up.
Darren, I don't remember you winning.
Yeah, no, I've won championships before, plural, Kyle.
Before when? Right now? Doesn't matter.
Okay, Boomer.
Yeah, no, it's not over. Congratulations on the H2H 10 championship, guys, in round 3. Congratulations. Yeah.
Nice participation. Good job.
Yeah, thanks. we went 2-0. Yeah.
Amazing. Do you guys, this is a question for everybody, do you have a favorite exhibit that we should check out?
I think the original, the OG, the first exhibit, Flight, and that included Congoy, did a couple of the aircrafts in there, the helicopter and the glider. In fact, I believe Terry is on the chat. Terry, if you want to chime in, because you were kind of, he was the exhibit master. He basically placed everything in flight.
Remind me where that is.
And space. It's right there, the green carpet. Green carpet.
This
one.
One with plane.
There you go.
There it is.
That's the best angle. There we go.
There it is. What do you want to know?
I want to know everything.
Everything. Okay.
Stop holding out on me.
Well, all right. I'll hold out on you a little, but you'll get most of it.
Yeah, no.
Try to cover about.
Try not to get your team disqualified. Yeah.
I'll do my best. However, I can't make any promises. So, the paper airplane thing is actually based on something from the Frost Museum. There is an actual paper airplane launcher in that museum. So I did my best to just make it look like that. Because I knew I knew everybody here would be hounding me if I didn't get it to look exactly like it did in the Frost Museum. So I came pretty close.
Yeah, Frost Museum got shooters out there, dude. Gotta watch out.
Does it? Yeah. I also don't want to get frostbite. But, So, yeah, we have some murals on the wall. I just wanted to... I didn't feel that there was enough of an opportunity to actually incorporate things like hot air balloons and dirigibles and rockets. So I just made 2-dimensional versions of them. to remind the people in the exhibit that they do exist. You're just not going to see three-dimensional versions of them. Yeah, there's some engines on the right side. Got like a jet engine. Yeah, got some engines there. One of them would be like the brown one would be like a turn of the century type Wright Brothers type engine, and then the big one out of Dinghy Slide and Monorail. Oh, it just opened. Great, it moves. It's that would be a more modern jet engine. And then we have photos. Oh, there's physics. Yeah, we have little things in there. I made a glider after Congoy had made some beautiful craft. He made the helicopter and the red plane. So I designed a glider in that to fit with those. And then there's a little like a little video game type ride that uses the new Cinema Chair CTR. That's in use at least 3 times on this map.
Yeah, I was admiring those. Yeah. That's going to get a lot of use.
Beautiful job. Yeah, we decided that it would actually be. It's much easier to make a CTR like that if it comes in from the side.
Yeah.
Rather than in the front. Jake, hey, I miss you too. That was for. Oh, and there's a screen. You see back. There's a little screen that's flashing, a blue screen. Near, there. That's based on a real exhibit where people just stand on the ground and move back and forth, and it simulates flying. It's motion capture. It's based on a motion capture exhibit.
I didn't understand that, but I'm glad that you did.
Yeah, it's one of those things where as long as it looks good, you don't have to get it.
Yeah.
But now you know.
I do know, yeah.
I'm sure nobody actually was able to determine exactly its function, but it looks good, so.
Yeah, the fact that it's there and it has that sort of verisimilitude is what kind of like sells it. You don't have to understand every aspect of things that are going on. For example, I don't understand how HVAC works, but I still appreciate that it's in here.
I don't either, and I placed a bunch of them.
Well, we haven't had any members that have like a JDP level of knowledge about HVAC to come and criticize us, so I think we're in the clear for now. What about Congoy? What's your favorite?
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Do we still have a Congoy?
Oh yeah. Hey, sorry. What was the question?
What's your favorite exhibit? What do you want to show off?
Oh, I also love the flight exhibit, but I guess what I want to show off is there was a late edition, and I don't think a lot of people commented on these, but the binoculars. So if you turn off cutaway view, they're all on the outside. There's Real Steel, Kenos did a great job with these. Yeah, to the left. So on the top of this left building, there's a set. Yep, there's a set right there.
Oh, that's
and
sick.
I just love the way the little peeps walk up and look through them. There's that version. There's one on the roof, and then down by the water, by the bike stand.
Lower, yeah.
Yeah, over there on the left. There's like the old school version where you put the quarter in it. Yeah, if you rotate the map, you can kind of see the shape better.
Yeah, variations.
Yep. One more.
3 rotations.
There.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of, Yeah, it's a super small detail, but I think they're really cute, and you could put these in any park.
Oh, for sure.
Right behind that, you can see, well, there's a bicycle, but there's also a hoverboard and a scooter, CTR. Yeah, you can see the hoverboard. There's a guy doing a demonstration there. There should be a scooter showing up any minute. But yeah, we didn't get to showcase them quite as much as we wanted. We probably would have wanted to. There's a scooter right there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We did sort of run out of time a little bit. I mean, myself, I was super busy. Um, like I mentioned, I work at a school, so I was working basically every day from 8 to 4, getting home with very little energy. So I apologize, kind of on me for especially the exterior of the park not being fully finished. But in general, I wouldn't even call it an park. It's just a little unrefined, and I'm very proud of what we did manage to get in here. It's still vast majority of it is pretty good finished work.
Yeah, I
Especially
definitely. If you hadn't, I feel like this is the case. Like every time someone like you see like this park, and then if you're going up against it, you're really intimidated. Like, wow, this is so refined and so like actualized. And then they come on the stream and say, "Yeah, it's super unfinished. I'm really not that proud of it," and all this stuff. And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" And that's definitely one of those cases.
Your team too talking about, well, we deleted a leg off the thing. It's like, okay, well, I forgot to finish a wall. In fact, it's right there on the left. It's like, oh, come on. And it hurts to look at that a little bit. In fact,
yeah,
in my own version of the park, I did finish that wall. So just for my own peace of mind and sanity, I can still look at the park and not sweat that too much. But overall, I thought it was a great team effort. I wish Otter could be here. He really helped us.
R.I.P. He was a real one.
Around it. Yeah, no, it was sad. Yeah, an otter died today at a zoo. I don't think it was related to him. I'm not sure.
It's a different otter.
Yeah, different otter who liked basketball and something else. I don't remember the other thing.
Yeah, but it's probably not important.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But yeah, no, this was really, really proud of this park in general. But please rotate it. Let's not look at this part.
We got to focus on it.
Yeah, that's a good view right there. And check out the switch track. Have you highlighted that switch track? And
yeah,
it's coming once. Here it comes, right? And goes out the garage door. Basically, right as it finally makes it on the second try over the top hat is when the door opens and it gets triggered.
Yeah.
And, shit. Oh, sorry. There was a bug. There was an ant crawling on me. I'm not even kidding.
Oh my god.
Seriously?
I feel like that's going in the timestamps on the YouTube video. The ant incident.
No, that's a South Florida issue. At least it wasn't a cockroach. That would have been much larger and more. But no,
terrifying.
I may have had some recurring dreams of with insect ant nightmares. Just 8 ants, eight large annoying purple ants crawling on me.
There you go. It's psychosomatic symptoms of this this defeat.
It's okay. Well, remember, it's regular season. We're still tied for first place. So
yes. Well, I really must say, like, in all seriousness, what an amazing showing. Really, I feel like every time we go up against someone, fear is struck in my very core, thinking like, wow, this is amazing. Because obviously, like, when you finish like your parks and you've been looking at them for the whole time, you've seen it a bunch, and in a way you're kind of like desensitized to your own parks, and you see someone else's and you see it for the first time, and you see like the true beauty of someone else's parks, and you're opening up, you're looking through it, you're seeing the switch tracks, you're seeing all the exhibits and stuff, and thinking, oh no. And that's definitely, I can say that all of our bunch were like, wow, this is a really, really, really strong park. Very scared that we're going up against it.
we probably gave you 3 levels of oh no. That's the cool thing about this. It's, it was like you get to unwrap a gift or something. Well, not quite, but as you do the cutaway and as you go from roof to even the rooftop, those buildings up there, which of course, like I said, we built bottom up, bottom up, and yeah, they weren't quite as finished as the lower buildings. The lower stuff, it sort of gets better as you go to the bottom of the map. I'd say the flight and dino exhibit are probably two of the strongest, but history, space, and they all have some good stuff. I'm very proud of this. I'm
You
very
really
proud
should
that
be.
despite my advanced age, I turned 40 at the end of last year.
Happy birthday!
I'm still here, putting up a fight against you slightly younger guys.
Yeah, we're an aging population now, mate.
Yeah, we're like in our 30s.
Yeah, we're all going to be needing, colonoscopies and whatnot before too long. Doctor advised cholesterol checks and whatnot.
I literally have my annual physical today. So
to add insult to injury.
I need to lose a few pounds, but otherwise, I'm still a healthy person.
Well, thank God for that, because we're going to be needing you for a long time, because we need you to keep building stuff like this. Is there anything else you want to mention before we move on? Or do you feel like you've highlighted all the important stuff?
I'm retiring. Yeah, this is last part. Totally.
Well, what a showing. A real delight to go out on.
I retire every season, so, But Congoy, Terry, anything you guys want to add while you're here?
I'm good. Thanks.
These guys.
Very welcome indeed. Absolute pleasure.
Just want to call attention to one little peep scene in the solar area, in the space area. No, yeah, go space. Yeah, over there. They're looking at the you see two peeps just standing there looking at the sun. Go to the one in pink first. The sun is the little round one in the size comparison. Little guy, yeah.
We love a bit of would you call that a pun? Is that a pun? Is it like a misunderstanding humor?
I didn't have time to do too many of those, but I'm glad I got that one in.
You gotta love it.
Yeah, he was working the late shift and building extended hours. We really appreciate Terry's effort, Congoy's effort. As I mentioned in the review I wrote, there wasn't that much sleep towards the end by choice.
Yeah, I did a 12-hour shift. That was something I probably won't do again ever.
That's what they all say.
I think you said at one point in 48 hours you slept for 6 hours.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. No. There was literally building through the night, and
yeah. My goodness.
Yeah, Terry's a machine, man. It was wild.
Yeah. You did it too, Conway. That last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. You did not sleep. Not at night.
Hey, the park was due. We had to get it done.
Yeah. We did. Yeah.
Well, for what it's worth, I didn't notice that you're so bad at time management. So that's got to count for something, right?
Thanks, Sammy.
Lots of love to all of you.
Because I was sleep deprived.
Because I was too busy driving my big rig.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of love to you guys. Like I say, you guys are some of my favorite builders. And it was scary to go up against you guys, and I feel like just the luck of the draw sometimes. I feel like the community was on our side on this one, so you should definitely consider it a victory that your team could do so well against our team, because we are really good. Well, so that's good. Congratulations that you got the votes that you got.
Consider ourselves the real winners. Yeah.
Yeah. But I will say, in all seriousness, your park was really pretty impressive. I feel honored to have knocked 21 votes off you guys. That feels kind of good, but it was a really good park. I mean, fuck Nin, but
of course,
still good park. JK, very well trained H2H player, and apparently a decent captain too. So
who would have thought?
Good luck to you guys. Good luck to you guys going forward. I appreciate a well fought match.
Yes.
So,
thank you for giving us an outstanding run for our money. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Love the nail biters.
We got more stuff coming.
Yes, I'm glad to hear it, and I hope to see more from every single builder who built on this. In fact, I insist, because I love you all to bits.
Thank you, Simon.
Get the hell off my stream.
Okay, bye.
Who's next? Who wants to go next? Who do we have? Do you have any handsome individuals who'd like to speak up on stuff that's been built? Do I see... I really hate streamer mode. Deal with it. It cuts off people's names. We'll just take a few minutes to see if anybody's around. Get out of my pub! Oh yeah, I'll unmute amusement parker as well, because that could be disastrous. So the ones that we have remaining now, obviously, are V.E.R.B, we've got Yards, we've got Yucca, and we've got Sailor. So if we've got any captains from those teams who might want to pipe up on behalf of people, that would be good. And alternatively, if there's anyone here who built in any of the previous rounds who didn't get to talk, we can certainly do those to tide us over. Obviously with an eye to prioritizing this round's stuff.
Since you still have the park open, there's an Easter egg over by, do you see that water vortex?
Yep.
So if you rotate the map and look there, there's a peep. Might have to cut away down more clicks.
2 clicks on the cutaway.
Yeah.
No one mentioned this.
Oops.
No one mentioned it.
We didn't give them any hints. But if you open this ride,
It's an audio file. I mean,
I think click the Earth. Yeah, Bill Nye demo, and then you turn that on. There's an audio file.
I think
what the fuck?
Greetings, Bill Nye here. Here, I've got an experiment for you. Safety glasses on. By the end of this century, if emissions keep rising, the average temperature on Earth could go up another 4 to 8 degrees. What I'm saying is the planet's on fucking fire.
You're not streaming the audio, but it's for anyone else.
Well, that's a waste.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's actually actually from John Oliver.
Oh, you can hear the
last week
audio.
tonight.
Oh, okay, nice. Oh yeah, I can hear it now.
You're not children anymore. I didn't mind explaining photosynthesis to you when you were 12, but you're adults now, and this is an actual crisis. Got it? Safety glasses off, motherfuckers.
Yeah, that's Bill Nye cursing in an appearance on Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. But yeah, no, these days you got to check those audio files in parks, guys. Make sure you find things. But yeah, that was one of the things there. So no one wants to go next because I mean we could probably go on for the entire rest of the stream if you want to keep looking at the park. But come on, who's next?
Come on. To be honest, I think it's kind of amazing that in the other weeks we've had someone from like every park around to talk about something. Gamma, that's a great point. Can we talk about parks we haven't built on? We might have to. If no one else is around. No one else is owning up.
It's only been an hour.
Oh, we've got hoobaroo here.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Hello. I'm good.
Outstanding. Hello. Are you prepared to talk about Sailor, if that's okay?
Yeah, sure.
Hooray! You've come just at the right moment.
Yeah, I saw the tags came in.
Yeah.
I'm outside though, so I don't know if the connection is going to be that good. Just let me know if it's like shaky or whatever.
That's okay. It's sounding great right now. I will jump right into it with the gift of your presence. Take us right from square one. What? Tell us the story of how this park came to be.
I have no idea.
Cool. Thanks for coming. No, I'm joking. Go ahead.
I mean, I guess it was inspired by this micro that I had planned for round 3 of the Micro Madness last year. And then I was just kind of building off of that. Thought we could do something more with that. And yeah.
So who would you say was the driving force behind this? Was it yourself?
Oh yeah, it was me.
Yeah. What was the build process like?
Pretty annoying. Didn't get good sleep a lot of the time. It was just a lot of hard work. It was fun in moments though. Some moments were good. And I would do something I was happy with.
Do you
I'm
feel
sorry, I don't have the park with me right now, so I can't just like look and point at like certain things, you know.
Of course.
And I'm not very good at like talking about what I made.
That's okay. That's kind of at that point. It's kind of on me to sort of prompt you. So don't worry too much. Just relax.
Okay.
And I'll ask the questions, and you answer in a way that you feel comfortable with.
Sure.
So, what was it like building with your teammates? Were they people who you'd wanted to build with?
Yeah, the teammates were great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the teammates were great. I mean, the process was like typically, I don't know. I just put a lot of like stress on myself when I'm working, but the teammates were like curious. He worked on the coaster, and I think that was probably like a few weeks in. And by the time he put the coaster on the map, it was like this huge relief because, you know, obviously I'm not the biggest coaster guy in the community. So when he came in with that, it was kind of just like, oh, thank God. Now I don't have to like pretend to like, you know, act like I'm good. So yeah, Ultra was great too. Some buildings in there were just really, really helpful. And late stage, that was when like Liam and Roy came in, and Roy did the boat, which was obviously another just huge relief. And then Liam did all like the realism stuff, which was, also not my forte. You could say it's pretty interesting that I would choose to do something that was so filled with things that are not my forte, but I wanted to kind of address my weaknesses and see what would happen.
Oh, of course. But at the same time, as we've been learning throughout the whole competition, it's not on the shoulders of one builder to do it all.
Oh yeah, of course.
It takes the team. You showed up and did stuff that is like hugely to your strengths, and yeah, you expanded your horizons a bit, but
yeah,
if me as a viewer, obviously it'll obviously feel different for you as the person experiencing it firsthand, but for me as a viewer, I feel very like satisfied and fulfilled that we got some like prime hoobaroo. So I wonder if you feel the same, a sense of like achievement for having, executed a vision like this.
Yeah, I mean, of course, because the last time I worked on a head-to-head park was House by the Sea.
Yeah.
And that didn't get finished for a multitude of reasons. But this time around, with the Sailor, even with my initial pitch, I was like, this isn't, I don't want to do like a House by the Sea thing where it's like I have this, great vision and it's all on me to tackle it, because, that was 3 years ago. And as I've grown older, I've come to realize that a lot of things aren't really possible just on your own, So when I pitched this, I was like, I want this to be about collaboration, like I want to get better at like communicating with my teammates and kind of, getting people on board rather than just kind of sticking to myself and being like, I'm going to do this all on my own and I don't need anybody to like, make this work, because that's not what I wanted to do,
Yeah, and that's a big step in the process, really, isn't it? Of in any creative venture, there is that sort of like control freak in all of us, where you kind of like, well, I have a vision, and it's not that you don't like respect the other people; it's that you're so sort of like self-conscious, like it's almost like an anxiety that it's like. Yeah. Oh, but it'll just be much quicker if I just do it. Like that sort of attitude when you really do have to let go and trust in the vision of others.
You just end up like burning yourself out because you're just trying to carry all this weight. And it's like, man, if only I was on a team with team members who could, do teamwork. If only. But luckily, perfect format.
Here they are.
Yeah.
Rushing in to help you. Is there like a part of this map that you look to and think, oh, that like came off exactly how I envisioned? Or are there any areas where you kind of like, oh, that really sort of, it was a bud and then it blossomed. I wasn't sure about it, but it really sort of came to be as it developed?
Interestingly, I think my favorite part, like kind of like what you were saying, like with the I did it and I was like, oh man. Initial it was the first few like buildings at the top, like connected to like that little like grassy vignette with the sailor and like the girl,
Yeah.
Those first few buildings, I was honestly, that was probably the only thing on the map for like maybe like 2 weeks, because everything I was doing after that just felt not as good. It was almost like I was so happy with how that came out that I was like, oh man, everything's just, not going to be as good as these first few buildings. But that's kind of the whole point, is moving past that, like that safe, area and venturing into, a more wild aesthetic, and then seeing where that goes. So there was definitely a sense of satisfaction with those initial buildings where I was like, this is like exactly the kind of village that I would never want to leave personally, because it's so comfy and cozy. And then the rest of the town is, much different, which is kind of part of that journey. So yeah,
that's really interesting. God, I had a really good question. Oh yeah, what like me looking at this in the way that I build, I look at this and I think, oh, how do you even begin to conceptualize this? What were like your inspirations coming into this? How did you sort of like sell this to your team other than, you know, build it in Roller Coaster Tycoon?
well, I mean, typically when it comes to selling ideas to the team, I just have to lie and pretend that it's not going to be something completely batshit crazy. You know, I'm like, oh no, everyone's gonna love this, and then once I start working on it, it's like, oh, this is crazy. But that's kind of just my my comfort area is just doing, you know, crazy shit, and it's hard to like sell that because essentially I wouldn't even know how to sell it. You know, it's kind of just like I want to just kind of go crazy here and see what happens. You know, and you just got to hope that it, you know, comes out well and people like it. You know,
did you have any sort of like reference material?
Yeah, there was a lot of reference material, but it was more for like the realism stuff. Like the town was based off of a bunch of kind of like coastal English villages. Like Whitby was one, Robin Hood's Bay was another. There was a multitude of just kind of these first person scenes of like these towns, you know, and what it would be like to like walk through them. And then as we got closer to like the fantasy stuff, that's where it kind of becomes more not so referential, I guess. Like it's much more of like a subjective thing, because it's like, how exactly do you depict someone being like completely hammered looking at architecture? Because that's just kind of a very subjective thing, you know. It's not like they're like pictures of like someone else's perception, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, most of the fantasy stuff was just very I tried to put myself in the perspective of like, what would this town look like if it slowly became kind of you know, morphed into something just wildly aberrated and out of control. So that's where it became very subjective.
Outstanding.
Yes.
Do you feel like there are any sort of like hidden secrets that you feel like haven't been?
Oh yeah.
Go on, run us through them.
It's like I don't even have it here with me, but I mean there were so many like for one, there are a few references to the Odyssey in it, like the ferryman Caron, who like ferries like dead people through the river Styx in the underworld. He's one of the few named entertainers, and he's in the river. Because I mean, this is like my own, you know. I know people might be like, oh, why didn't you like put this in? Why didn't you explain it? But it was more just like I wanted this idea of the sailor going into his own kind of like underworld, you know. And as he like descends into the town, it does become kind of like this underworld area where it's not this peaceful, you know, vignette at the top, but it's very scary and dangerous and everything. So there are a few references to the Odyssey in there. Like there's like the sirens on the coast kind of singing to the sailors who are on the building. I think one of the boats is named the SS Orpheus, which is, you know, obviously a Greek myth where the main character goes into the underworld to escort his lover out. So that was there. Just a lot of these, like, you know, nods to myself that gave me inspiration as to kind of like a journey that this character's going on, you know. And separately, there was also just like a lot of like, you know, personal things that I put in for myself that it wouldn't even like make sense to explain, you know, just cute little things where I'm like, oh, this reminds me of like this time in my life where I did this, or, you know, stuff like that.
I feel that's part of the strength of the experience of this park, though, isn't it? It does feel like in a sense, it is kind of like inaccessible in a way, because it is like a subjective, like vibe kind of, which is something that we don't see a lot of. So I'm really glad that we have people like you to really push that aspect of it. Do you feel like here's an interesting question for you. Do you have any like RCT role models or inspiration? Because when I think of a hoobaroo, I think of something that's quite singular, but I wonder if there's any like role models that you have for what you do.
There are definitely like starting points, like I think some people in their reviews were like spot on with like the V.E.R.B comparisons, not in like a qualitative sense, but just in the sense of like this kind of subjective, fantastical entrance into like another world. That was like a huge kind of starting point. Like when I was trying to like pitch it to the team and make it kind of make sense for them, I was like, this would be like a mix of like V.E.R.B meets I'm blanking on the park. It was the fish park with the like the red rocks in last head to head, the mountainside one.
Rouge.
Yes, exactly. Villa Rouge. So I was like, it was like a mix of like this mountainside town meets V.E.R.B, which is like this, very dreamlike park. I'm trying to think of anything else. I think that might be it. Unless I'm forgetting. Yeah, I'm not sure. If I remember, I'll bring it up.
No problem at all. Were there any like unexpected challenges of building this, or was the whole thing sort of an unexpected challenge? Or how did you find that sort of side of things?
Yeah, there were some unexpected challenges, like just kind of like real world constraints, But I think that probably happens to everybody.
Yeah,
but it
really
also,
sort of like the unsung villain of the contest is like things that aren't
the real
Roller Coaster
world.
Tycoon. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's actually pretty funny because I mean one of like the big things with like the park is this sailor leaving his world of realism and escaping into like a world of fantasy to get away from like the realities with like war and maturity and conflict and everything. And over the 2 months of the building period, I was having these things happen in my life where I was like, oh man, like this is just crazy. Like if only I had some kind of world to just disappear into. And I was like, oh, how convenient. I'm like making one right now. So I would kind of use that to like fuel some of like the crazier like escapism feelings and stuff like that.
Well, damn. Sometimes life imitates art in that regard, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was definitely trying to find a balance between like kind of not avoiding it, but just dealing with like real world stuff, but also maybe like channeling it, and trying to like find the balance there between like what's most healthy, I guess. Because I mean, a big thing for me, I mean, at least this is more like just outside, but like I'm trying to find like a better balance in my life between like creative work and also just like actual life satisfaction, Yeah. So one of my goals while working on this was ironically had nothing to do with the game, and it was more just about like, can I this and also just a relatively enjoyable, life,
Yes.
So yeah.
Well, these sort of life lessons come from like the strangest of places. So, I wonder if literally having sort of like an artistic outlet did that help you with that process?
I don't know. I feel like the jury's still out on that.
Fair enough. Sometimes it takes a bit of distance from it to really.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder, like when I'm, because I feel like your approach to Roller Coaster Tycoon is sort of my approach to music in a way, which that I'm jealous of. I wish that I could apply that sort of muscle of creativity in this sort of way. as I'm sure a lot of people in the community do, sort of look at like a piece like this, because like a park like this, without sort of hurting my arm, jacking you off or anything, it really is sort of like a piece of art in a more elevated way than a lot of our stuff is. And I don't think that's a controversial statement, for as much as like all Roller Coaster Tycoon is uncontroversially art, because it certainly doesn't like serve any function. But yours feels like much more expressive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even saying this just to be humble, but I mean, I understand that like my approach to the game is definitely different, and the things that I make in the game are not, very ubiquitous in the community. Like everyone makes different things, but I've come to realize that like everything that people make in this community and even in this contest are personal to them. Like even if it's not in the most I don't even know in what way you would say, but like even just like the last two parks we did, like Bugs and Bots and like the museum, it's not like those have personal significance to the people who made it. Of
course, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's something that I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a really good point. And I guess it's just the sort of avenue you take to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I just use it for what's personal to me, and everyone else does the same, or at least I'd hope,
And this guy says he's bad at talking. What was I was gonna say something then. Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, just to like put a bow on the point I was making there, was sometimes it just takes a bit of distance from it, and then you go, oh, I get it. That's why I made the piece of art that I made. Yeah.
Definitely for the past couple weeks, I've just been meditating on how the process was, what I liked, what I didn't like, and what I would do differently, and that's more of a personal thing, but it is also important for me,
Yeah. Well, amazing. I feel really very glad that we managed to have this conversation. Is there anything that you'd like to talk about before we move on? I don't know that there's necessarily like a time constraint. I just didn't, just like what you were mentioning earlier, I didn't want to like put you on the spot for too long. You are more than welcome to keep talking.
No, I mean, yeah, I think, I just ultimately hope people like the park, and yeah, I think that's it.
Outstanding. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk with us about it.
Yeah, no problem. It was really fun.
Unlike most of the time, you aren't banished from voice chat just yet, because I feel like we haven't got anyone queued up behind you. So feel free to pop off in any way you see as appropriate.
I have no idea. Maybe one thing like came to mind, like inspirations and stuff, because I mean, I do have like a lot of inspirations, and it just wouldn't even like be very valuable to like just go through them. But one of them in particular that I thought was fun was when I was working on it. I've met like a few NE members in real life, definitely in like the past year or so, or more so. And I've like gone out to like get drinks with them, and on those nights I would really just kind of enjoy myself, like have a good time. And part of building on this park was kind of like just kind of celebrating that feeling of just meeting new people and going out, and I think in some parts of the park with like the kind of more jovial, celebration and everything, there was a part of that was coming from those experiences,
Well, now we're getting the reality. So, and to think that you wouldn't have shared that really awesome bit of lore with us.
Yeah.
What a legend. I heard someone else make noises. Space key.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I am Walto's account, so I can just talk for him since I'm his alternate account. It's not a problem.
We got. Sorry, I'm just distracted momentarily. I've already sort of lost amusement park, or I can't find. Oh, found him. Right. Oh, the mute for Parker's not on, so that's good. Let's just go. I'll just space game. Can you mute, baby? Unless you have something to say, of course, in which case pipe up. We've got an Ethan in the chat. Ethan,
well, sure, I can talk about the plugin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the plugin, so far in this contest, there have been two types of plugins. There have been park specific and park agnostic. The first park agnostic was Dino's round 2.
Yeah.
Which was a little bit unfortunate because their cool effect was applied when it shouldn't have. But I saw what they were trying to do, and I tried to convince Dino, hey, you should give me your TypeScript so that I can extend your plugin and we don't have to have two different competing plugins. But he said no. I'm keeping it under wraps for now because of competition. So I just rewrote the entire thing from scratch and added a huge amount of functionality.
Took out all of the bump that he shoved in there. All of his what do you call it? Like sorry, I'll just be 1 second. Just minorly preoccupied. But by all means, do.
So Dino's plugin was a little bit limited. It had only a couple of things that it could do, and a couple of things that would trigger stuff happening. And I had talked to him in between the rounds and said, "Hey, this is really cool. Here's how I think that it could be extended." And I talked about having animations and triggers separate. Well, first of all, the Dino's R2 and my R3 plugin work with a system of triggers and animations. So when something happens on the map, and the plugins are designed that you can add your own to the park, and then you can have a single plugin that plays multiple parks as long as they subscribe to the same idea of adding them into the park.
Space K, I'm so sorry. Which park should I be opening?
V.E.R.B.
Let's get in V.E.R.B. Sorry about that. I was doing a bit of admin. Come on, where's V.E.R.B.? Yep.
Yeah, so the whole idea with the plugin is that anyone can use this on any park that they want. It's not specific to the park, so it has utility across the board. Now, there was a user interface that I made that used the command line, which I took out because it was just extra lines of code that you didn't need to view the parks. And so going forward, there will be a viewer mode, which is kind of stripped down, and then the editor mode, which has the user interface. So, yeah, like I said, the whole idea is that there's triggers that make or that play animations, and
just before you carry on, do I have it installed? I don't know
you can't see it from the drop down because there's no drop down button.
Okay.
But it doesn't look like you have it installed because the trains are not getting painted.
Okay, just give me 1 second.
Yeah, so...
Sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure that it was being viewed in the best light possible.
Yeah. So if you zoom in on the pre-launch area, then you can see the trains getting painted by the sprayer gantry.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The door is also new. Joshua Jacobs figured out how to do that. So I said, hey, how do you do that? And he showed me. So that took a little bit of finessing because the tools that are available to make them quickly don't quite work. So it took a lot of manual finessing to get the doors to line up correctly and to split one in front of the vehicle and one behind. And big thanks to Duncan Pumpkin for fixing the bug that made them draw incorrectly. So now they draw actually one in front of the train and one behind instead of both behind.
So is this like a those NCSO ghost train objects?
Yes. I mean, you could put the doors over any, or in vanilla, you have the sort of round doorway that you can put over Car Ride and Ghost Ride and Junior Coaster.
Yeah.
And this uses the exact same thing. You just have to disable clearances to place it on rides that don't allow it by default.
Yeah.
I made the scenery is 4 high, and then I made a 5 height version so that you'd have the gap at the bottom for the roller coaster track on Giga, because the track is elevated more than others.
Yeah.
So going back to the plugin, I expanded on the number of triggers and the number of actions that can take place in the animation. And the most critical part was that I allowed animations to enable and disable other animations and triggers. And this is crucial for implementing relay logic systems. And so the whole ride, or all of the plugin effects, are basically sort of recreating a rudimentary ride control system.
Well, it'd be fundamentally like recreating like a basic like computer, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
you do like your basic logic, like your AND gates and whatnot.
Yeah. So one of the other things that I changed was I separated the triggers into multiple sub-triggers, which I called sensors. So when the roller coaster is stopping at the block break before the launch, it checks. There's one trigger for each train, and then each trigger has a sensor. Okay, is there a vehicle on this block, and is this vehicle the train that I'm concerned about? So it will know which train has stopped at the block, and then it'll play this one of the 4 animation sequences that slowly paints the train. The painting the train is timed based on when the train stops at the block. It's not actually synchronized with the sprayer gantry, but because it happens at the same speed, or the gantry moves at the same speed every time, it looks synced up. And then throughout or when the train launches, it enables the animation that paints the individual cars back. And as the train goes through, there's 5 spots where it says, okay, paint it, or what is it? There's 5 triggers that look for 4 specific cars, 1 specific car in each train. And so by the time you get to the loop, all 5 cars are painted back. And then it takes a dip in the void vat, and then it gets painted black to be dripped off later in the ride. And one of the things that we're not hearing right now is the sound effects. So the plugin also triggers custom sound effects that are synchronized with the ride. There's the LSM launch sound that Aura Specs recorded, and we got added in so that plays when the train launches. There's 4 recordings, although only 3 made it into the park because of a last 5 minutes oversight. And so
literally unplayable.
Thus was born the meme of getting agitated. And yeah, I did some of the voices for the voiceover. One of my friends called Hubcap, he did some other voices. Leon did all of the mixing. And oh yeah, there's also a very subtle motor sound that's synchronized with the gantry. It's not timed at all. Or it's or what is it? The sound is a continuous loop, which I made because I figured, people might use it as an ambience in other works. But by turning on and off the ride, then it turns on and off with entry motion. Yeah. Which also has some interesting relay logic controls. The whole idea behind the painting was AVC's idea. Obviously, he's not here right now, but it was his vision that the train would get painted and then slowly get unpainted during the ride.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah, I can do that. And there was a lot of trial and error involved in getting the plugin working correctly. In the last 10 minutes or so, I had to remove some code because I couldn't get the rotating beacons on the paint booth to turn on and off. I just couldn't figure out why that code wasn't working, so they're just always on in the final version. Hi.
Who have we got?
There's AVC here.
Ah! What a legend. What a treat and a delight.
I was just telling him about how the plugin worked and your brilliant idea to have the train painted and then become unpainted during the ride.
Oh, great. Oh, I'm glad I joined at a good time. I'm on a construction site right now.
Oh, wow. Thank you, spacek, for sharing all that stuff. A lot of it went over my head, but I was really fascinated with the whole process of it. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And sorry I didn't have it installed already. Some may say that this might be the first time I'm looking at these parks, but those people would... that's just speculation at this point. The jury's still out on whether I've looked at these before. AVC, thanks for showing up. Take us from square one. How did this happen? How did we end up with this delightful park?
Oh, glad I joined at the right time. First things first, spacek absolutely killed it on this park. That plugin and all the hard work that went into it, he worked so hard to get it to the state it's in. So
yeah, it definitely sounds like a labor of love. It was really interesting.
It definitely was. And originally, spacek was supposed to be a builder on the park. Towards the middle of building, we ended up swapping in V.E.R.B to help with the landscape because there was quite a bit of work to do. And so I have to thank spacek for graciously stepping down, even though this park truly, I believe he deserves a share for all the work that went into the plugin and even the voiceovers too that he did. And the pipe set that he created for this, which I suspect will be wildly popular for all future parks. Yeah, can't thank spacek enough for all that work. It was brilliant stuff. But the original park concept was actually a leftover from Tile Inspectors. It was very generic, just alien planet with neon colored foliage, and taking from Aliens the movie to have some sort of goopy black creature as the main coaster. Like I mentioned elsewhere before, the void didn't really come in as a concept until we had to think, okay, now what are they mining here? Why is there a research base here? That came in like maybe a month before the deadline. And once we settled on void extraction from all the back and forth bouncing between team members, that drove everything else for all the little scenes, the different uses of space, the void bleeding into the edges and finding a purpose for that. Yeah, I guess what is there to say about this one? I kind of drove the whole thing from the beginning because the other builders were busy with real life stuff up until like May. So started with the layout and the macro. I had a pretty clear vision in my head of the research base being these tall sci-fi towers on top of a hill overlooking an alien landscape with snaking rivers in different colors. Create, I guess, a bit of contrast between the clean research base and the wild alien planet. The coaster came together pretty quick, but also Noah and Brightside did have some really good feedback sessions on getting the pacing right, and so thanks to them as well for having an input on the coaster layout, which was great. That's the beauty of H2H, is to have that instant feedback during construction. Yeah, I don't really know if there's anything particular I want to call out, because I was a little blown away by the voting and the comments. I mean, I personally love the way the park turned out, but going up against the yard is really scary considering it's my favorite park so far in H2HX. So I'm glad that this resonated with people in the community.
It's always scary. We were mentioning earlier in between Bugs and Bots and Millenium Museum, you get desensitized to your own stuff. So you see you come up against a fantastic park and you might forget that the park that you have is also pretty fantastic if you've not been looking at it constantly for the past 2 months.
That's very true. I totally feel that too. Let's see, what's something... So I definitely will be posting a behind the scenes to kind of break down who did what and some unfinished screens on the process. So because the macro did change quite a bit, and we had some sketches from the beginning. But the first tower that got done was actually that one in the middle of the screen. And just building that off the map, playing with different shapes to make a round tower, when that was set on the map, that kind of drove the aesthetic for the rest of the base. And originally, we planned to have each tower have a particular function when this was still a generic alien park. A physics tower, a biology tower, a mining refinery tower. They still have some inklings of that, like there's the hydroponic tower there versus the one on the right that's more for the actual mechanical industrial elements. But really, the Void, once it came in, was the full concept, and the thing still works with them, which is great. Sormo on this park did an amazing job with all the industrial elements. I think he did spell out a little bit about what he did in the chat, but really that the hangar with that vehicle in the hangar was fully him, along with the excavator that everyone loves out in the open area. Yeah, that he has an uncanny ability for infrastructure and vehicles. We saw that with Liqueur, and we see that again here. These are things that I cannot build, so I'm very glad we got paired together and he was able to fill in that weak spot of mine. That excavator is super sick. He did all the piping and some of these towers around here in this area too. Let's see. Steve mainly helped. Sorry? Is that
shout out to Tulsamir for the no plug-in smasher.
Yes. On the back side, the Void refinery turning the blobs into a square. That's a very Tulsamir idea. It reminds me of the loom that we had in Madinat that he actually implemented. Here, similar idea. He tried to walk me through the hack. I really couldn't get it. So I laid down the track and he got it timed perfectly. It's a non-plug-in hack. Just synchronized track, 3 different rides.
Amazing.
Definitely a Tulsamir signature.
Just the ingenuity.
The space elevator too. I think Sormo posted, or someone posted the original one, which was super blocky and chunky. Ended up swapping it out with this one, which I think works a lot better. There's a lot of reference images for space elevators. There were, of course, time constraints, and there were a ton of little things you would have added, and more deliveries being made at the space elevator for each team would have been one of the little narrative items. Right now, there's only the Jazz Cat delivery there on the bridge. And one of the biggest ideas that was missing from this park were the 2 base patrols, the little flying spaceships off the platforms on the right side there. We originally had the idea to have them synced with the coaster, so that each time it launches, the base patrol will follow the coaster as if they're keeping track of the creature that's undergoing testing. Definitely was the first thing to be cut. That sounded like a lot more complicated hacking than what the end result would be useful for. So focused on just wrapping up the details of the park instead. What else is there to say? Steve's contribution mainly is that blue canyon that's the main entrance for the peeps. Right there. That area with the waterfall, Steve's got good landscaping skills. And he also went through with some trims throughout on the architecture just to beautify everything with his Steve touches, which is very much appreciated.
Yeah, it really goes to show, we mention it literally every park we talk about, no person is an island, no park is a single builder ordeal. Even if it did only have one builder at the end of the day, everybody's feeding back on everything. Everybody's, lending their talents, even if it's just, here's a reference image. It isn't possible without those people doing those things. So it really does take a village to build a head-to-head park. And I feel like that's why head-to-head is so beloved. I can't think of any other, more significant reason than that.
That's true for, I would say, 99% of H2H parks, except for DAW by Pacific Coaster. That was a true one-man effort, I gotta say. And that's the best H2H park in all of H2H history so far. But yeah,
Maybe
here,
so.
for sure, we had tons of feedback from the team, which was super helpful, especially for the first 2 months where I was just soloing the park until Mari could join in full-time. That was the toughest part, is just going solo, and even though there's feedback, it's not quite the same as intense file sharing and passing back and forth and seeing something new pop up each time you open the file. That, especially for someone like me that has an issue with finishing solo parks, that was actually a very good practice for potential future builds, because that was the most solo build I've ever done in any park so far. One thing I do want to call out that I think is my favorite part is the map edge. Leon, such an incredible captain, first of all, but he really did a lot of good tests to see what would work. I went in to fill in all the edges with these edges. What are they called? The little dirt textures around the cracked mud, and I think the edge effect is really cool to see the void creeping in on there. Gives it a very otherworldly appearance. I think that was one of the most fun parts, is creating that map edge.
Yeah, there's really been a lot. I don't know whether it's this competition or before this competition, but certainly I've noticed in this competition the attention that's being paid to the map edge as like a part of the art form, and not just, oh, here's where it ends and here's just sheer map edge. It's really, I feel like we're really getting into like the every single corner of the build process is getting elevated in such a way now. Another thing I wanted to mention.
That's such a good way to put it. Yeah. I think presentation is huge for a competition like H2H. There really is most minute differences that could decide a match, right? So seeing that is a big deal here. I think the map edge is one of those things that we definitely had considered as part of the concept that we want to move forward with. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Sorry.
They got to replace the door, so they're shipping it. It'll be here before.
I will say it was super cool seeing the pipes go into the void for the first time.
Have my company, so they're just gonna ship you a new door.
Okay, thank you. I'll follow up with the security team on that. Thank you. Sorry.
You're quite all right. Don't worry.
Still on the work site.
But you're doing the most important thing of all, which is Roller Coaster Tycoon just at the moment.
I will always make time for RCT. I think that's the beauty of our community too, and I think one thing I've been talking about with my teammates is that we've all matured a lot since we've all joined as kids back then. Now we're all full-fledged adults. We're much more mature as much as we can be. And the community has gotten stronger, I think, and kinder overall. Despite all the petty drama and whatnot, it's actually, I've never been more happy to be a part of a community like this right now.
Here.
Sorry, 1 second.
Let's get some love hearts in the chat for the community.
I don't know if AVC is done, but just some quick things
I'm
point out with the plugin.
Go ahead.
The gantry, if you zoom in on it, you can see that the sprayer heads are actually rotating. That's impossible on two levels. The first one is you can't make a car move sideways like that. It's banked 90 degrees, and you just can't do that in vanilla Roller Coaster Tycoon without the plugin. And it's doubly impossible because the plugin API doesn't have the ability to set the animation frame, which is how the multi-dimension seats rotate. And you might get a clue how I've circumvented those limits if you click on the gantry. You'll notice that when it starts moving, it'll pop up for a brief moment, and then it'll go back down.
I see.
If you happen to use cutaway to view the very bottom of the park, you'd see there's a bunch of cars. I thought you'd see them. There are a bunch of cars that are floating around right at the bottom of the map, and it just moves them up and down to show the different frames.
It's only one land texture. And it's just popping them up and down. Just replacing them.
Another
sly dog.
Another trick that the plugin does that may not be very noticeable is that train has a jackrabbit start right off the block brakes. That's impossible in vanilla right now because of, I don't know if it was an oversight, but when a train starts moving on a block brake, if it's slower than or equal to the block brake speed, it gets set to the block brake speed. But what this means is the way that all of the updates are applied in the specific order that they are, you can't actually go any faster until the first car leaves the block brake. And so I have exploited sort of the knowledge of the source code to figure out a way to make the plugin boost the train right off of the start line instead of having it move forward for about half a second before the boosters kick in.
The attention to detail is next level from Spacek.
Oh yeah, and can't forget the LSM sounds. I guess I mentioned them before, but it's super cool. It was the first effect that I kind of got nailed down, and I would just spend like 10 minutes at a time just listening and watching the coaster get launched.
I would say one of my favorite parts of this plugin is that it is very subtle, and you don't need it at all for the park to be what it is, and it just elevates the narrative of the coaster that we were trying to do, that this is a experimental test on some creature and you're riding it that goes through this layout. But with all of these little attention to detail that comes from the plugin, it really tells and pins down the narrative super clearly, I think, which I really, really loved.
Amazing. Well, I'm certainly glad that we have pioneers like Spacek kicking around, along with, you know, the perhaps more, you know, traditional pioneers like yourself, AVC. It takes a village. We need every single kind of builder to make these amazing parks.
Yeah, I can't forget Dino. His plugin was the main inspiration for this one. I just made more plugin.
A little more
Dino
plugin.
With the first plugin, huge inspiration for the whole community, I gotta say. It's pretty incredible that we're at this stage of RCT.
Yeah,
and that we'll have
watershed
more
moment.
Yeah.
Well, you've certainly taken it in that sort of put your own spin on it sort of thing. So very, very glad that the Lonely Hearts Club could provide that little bit of kick to get Spacek to really fire on all cylinders. Really is a treat. Is there anything about this park that you want to highlight? Anything that you feel like we as the viewers missed and you didn't see any feedback on that you want to point out to us? Or do you think we got all the gritty secrets?
I feel plenty appreciated with the comments so far. Would still love to see more people if they have any thoughts about the park for this match to add their comments. I'm sure they'll trickle in over the next match and whatnot. But yeah, I feel very proud of this. I'm proud of the team for all the work they put into. We're really happy that it resonated with the community, especially against such a strong park such as the Yards. So, and yeah, very positive experience so far, and I'm glad y'all enjoyed it too.
One last closing thing.
Maybe the smokehouse biscuit.
The palette has 4 sort of shades where they transition between hues from dark to light, and
I'll do sourdough.
The builders really knocked that out of the park in you just using those.
Yes, the duochrome colors, similar to Billy Wonka and Stardust Jubilee. Space K again with that palette for us. Incredible non-builder work.
MVP alert. So something I just want to mention before I banish you guys and see if we've got anyone else. Is I mentioned it with Valley of the Kings, was it called? Yeah. The non-traditional foliage colours. In traditional Roller Coaster Tycoon, in like standard realism or whatever you want to call it, or even like fantasy, anything that takes place on like an earthly, chlorophyll-laden planet, foliage is green. And foliage serves like a purpose in Roller Coaster Tycoon, which is, it has like an aesthetic responsibility as well, but it also has like a negative space responsibility. So to see it in all these sort of new colours is really refreshing in a sort of like, I don't even want to say palette sense, because we have lots of different palettes. Every park has a different palette. But to see that negative space sort of exploited in a different way is really refreshing, and I hope we see it more and more. It's one of those sort of like fundamental like RCT theory things that always irks me in a sense. So I really appreciate you guys putting in the effort to push the boundaries on that, because it isn't the the simplest thing in the world to do.
That's a great point, and just one last comment on that. My style of RCT really is world building, and I think that the Earth itself has so many crazy landscapes that look alien as it is. And so that's one thing that I loved about Yucca, is that the rock work and everything being inspired by the Southwest had such unique shapes and colors and gradients. It did look alien, because sometimes our own planet can be a fantasy landscape when you really look at all the crazy things that exist in the world. I wish more builders would continue to use that as inspiration moving forward for do non-traditional things, because we have a lot of those non-traditional things right in our backyard on Earth.
Well,
Sci-fi is a good route for that, but there's a lot to do right here on Earth in realism settings too.
All right. You heard them, everyone. Get on it. Do we have any other teams kicking around? Do we have like an Ethan? And Ethan's been knocking around. Does an Ethan wanna?
Thanks guys for having me.
I really thank you guys so much for coming on and talking. I really, really appreciate it. You came in at just the right moment as well. Lots of love. Should we see? Let's pop Yucca open. So seems we got the name drop. Thank you so much to those guys for coming in and chatting. Really, really, really. Very much appreciated. Yucca. Yucky! Ethan, are you able to talk, my friend?
Yeah, I can answer some questions you have or anything like that.
Absolutely. Well, question number one, as it is for everybody, is tell me the story. I want to know how this thing came to be. For as much insight as... I know you had like a lower percentage, but I'm sure you have the scoop on all of the cool things that happened in the process of creating this thing.
Yeah, so it's originally I was kind of like, I kind of want to do Wes Anderson Park, Okay, so it's like kind of like a broad, like aesthetic kind of concept, or like kind of like a movie scenic kind of deal. So it's kind of like a cinematic aspect to it. Okay, I think we got Walto. Right? Is that Walto? No, okay. He's at the arcade, I think. Playing that pinball. He's always playing that pinball.
Gotta be done. If it ain't RCT, it's pinball.
Always playing that pinball. But yeah, that's pretty much it. As a park, actually, he built this park like pretty much, and that's pretty much it.
I'm positive there's far more to it than that. So,
no, he was saying like, oh, he watched like Asteroid Fields, and he was like, okay, or he was just doing the Nope movie too. We were all kind of talking. But I remember that was kind of like his idea was like he wanted to do aliens, and then he was like thinking of a location for the aliens. That's his pitch, right? So it's aliens first. And then he was like, what am I gonna do the location? And they're like, oh, buildings, and he's like, well, I think like actually like like kind of like a Western vibe, you know what I mean? Some kind of like low key park with the aliens to come and invade stuff. And then he added the plugin aspect, kind of like in between. Like after round 2, I think. He was like, okay, that's when he started doing the plugin idea.
Yeah.
So the park was mostly built at that point.
Yeah, who is the driving force behind the actual raw plugin?
That was also him. That was also like all him.
Outstanding. Well, tell him to stop doing pinball and get in and talk to us then.
No, but I mean, he was trying to do a similar thing like spacek kind of described, something that's kind of like different functions defined that someone could reverse engineer it and maybe be like, okay, well, I can take this and I can just close all these like functions in VSC, and okay, well, I could take these functions and put it into a different main function, and then I can make instead of a UFO moving around, I have like a giant flying spider with wings instead. And it's like made of scenery. But it's kind of like what I think he was going for, something that's kind of like intuitive like that. And he really like put the grind in. And he also like built it. So then we got like me and Dirt and like Mavericks, it's like, I was trying to like do a little bit of micro, like I was like, I got the ghost town, like meat smoking, and it's like I was thinking of like smoking meats and built this meat smoker. And then Dirt, Dirt's big landfill guy. Put some rocks, and he really fucking ate those rocks, man. Pardon my French.
Can I just have a ice mocha latte? Medium, please.
If we go ordering coffee.
So Josh. I think Josh is telling me to stop, I think. Do
I have to mute a motherfucker?
Yeah.
On main?
Am I unmuted?
Yeah, you're unmuted.
Oh, so we can say swears? This is the adult.
I'm in an airport ordering coffee.
Oh, you're getting hijacked.
Let's
see.
Oh. Let me turn my microphone off. It's too loud.
Has he gone?
I feel like I've been at that. He's standing there, like we crossed paths, but like in 2 different times and spaces.
It's almost like you've been abducted by aliens. Obviously, like, this is a very sort of bombastic use of plugins to do, of like a very, like, just like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like awesome, very simple, but like super effective, just manipulation of objects, really. So you mentioned that like a lot of it was built before you put the plugin stuff in. Was it simply a case at that point of looking at the park and thinking, oh, what can we do using the tools that we have? Or was a lot of stuff added in purposefully because of the plugin?
Yeah, it's kind of like he had like a lot of like ideas about like he really had like this whole thing like figured out like and I'm not sure at what point maybe he thought about it. But it's like I was also kind of under the impression that he straight up because he already had like the experience with like those like languages like Python, JS, like so he kind of picked up on the whole like thing pretty quickly, like or whatever. Like he's just like, okay, I'm just gonna do it, whatever. Like so I don't know if I don't know if he ever did a plugin besides that. Then he's just kind of like, but he said very much from the start that he wanted like the dynamic aspect. He wanted like kind of like he did that part. This is art where it was a completely dynamic concept. The entire thing was made of CTR, so it could have been like a CTR concept. But I think this allowed him to craft these like UFO ships and like all these different things. Like there's those fish rocks are kind of offset at unconventional heights. For example, I'm looking at that right now. It's on the screen. I'm like remembering that because they're not like one unit apart. They're like CTR, so they're shifted by like pixels, like Z value and stuff. Which is things we can do by accessing the cars and JS.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to like go like on my plugins. I'm not trying to go on this plugin soapbox either, but like whatever. Like all these like really crazy things he was coming up with like during those like last like really like the weeks that me and Dirt really started like building on it. Because Dirt was building that other park. And I was like pretty busy with some other stuff. And then Mavericks was like did like the coast supports and stuff, because he's like, like, he knows his stuff. Like that's like his like expertise. Like he's brilliant at it. So like he built these excellent like photorealistic like coaster infrastructure, and he also did all sorts of like micro like theme park infrastructure that really helped bring it to life and stuff.
Yeah, he's awesome for stuff like that. Gotta love Mavericks.
Sorry, guys. Can I just say one thing?
Please do.
I'm very sorry for posting that GIF of my alien abduction like a day before you released the alien abduction park. And kind of stealing your thunder. Didn't mean to. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah, they pinned that immediately, and I was like, dang, that would have been cool. Like, Remy would have been a really good draft pick, if Remy signed up for H2H.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just kind of was messing around with the object editor, and then I posted that, and I got a couple of messages saying, "Screw you, man! You've stolen our thunder."
Oh, no. I don't know who would have sent you that message. It wasn't me.
No, definitely not.
There's even things like I remember like another thing to point out, like the circus tent. There was a circus tent there before Cirque Macabre came out. There's like things like that. But then that's where I was like, hey, like these new like tent pieces, like. But that was actually what ended up using that? Oh, that's like the regular awning piece. I forgot what we ended up using for that. There's that single view crunch object too. I was just like, you know what? I just want to just touch this up. Like, let me just touch it up with like a brush. You know what I mean? So I straight up made a brush object.
Man, to be alive in a time where you can just be like, let's just make a new object, just for like,
yeah, I mean,
and that no, I can use that.
Yeah, for sure. Like the old one is just kind of like clunky like that. This new one, like Tulsimer, has done excellent, and he's like still updating it and stuff. It's like insane, like all the things you could do, and obviously like Josh has like made all these like excellent like the alien related objects, like the late alien popping up, the mascot. That's like another one of those things where it's like this is something I really appreciated about Bots and Bugs, is that it had like a whole like branding and like merchandising. Like this is like a real like, like conceptual, like how you say, like almost like a pitch. You know what I mean? Like especially like when you get down to like these other parks that have like readmes and like all this. The additional media is a really cool part of H2H, and I think that the crossing between that, where you have like your logo and then like you have the logo in the park, is like there's all sorts of ways you can like figure that out with just objects too, but just like the tying between those aspects of it is just really what makes it really special to me about the, like the team building aspect.
Oh, for sure.
Or the collaborative building aspect. I mean.
Yeah. So this is your first head-to-head, isn't it, Ethan?
Yeah. Canonically, I was building on the head-to-head classic. As well, but this will be my first canon H2H.
For sure. Is there anything about the experience which has like surprised you, or is it has it been what you expected?
I thought that I thought it was kind of exaggerated how spicy it gets, but it's spicy. I'm like, y'all are spicy.
In what way? There's many ways in which it can be spicy.
In all the ways.
Every single way. What do you think?
Also, it's like...
Oh, go on. Sorry.
I was gonna say, sometimes you'll look at something and then you'll be like, what is like wrong with it? It's like, this looks right. And then like you'll have like push it for the feedback and it's like, I don't understand like what y'all are seeing. And then when it finally matches and then looking back and being like, what was I thinking? Like that was not good. Like they were so right about that. And I was really convinced that this was right. It's like kind of like a really cool revelation, I think, but that's like a thing that kind of happens. Like, I don't even like know, like outside this whole like specific, because this is really the main like team or whatever thing going on where it's like a full like 5-month commitment on like any. But this is like kind of like cool about like the feedback process in general.
What do you think the best lesson you've learned from this process so far has been? Big question.
I think it's not like this. It's like, because I want to say like the easy way is like, okay, like less is more, but it's really more so like getting bang for your buck, like putting what's gonna get the biggest impact to put this amount of effort in, and coming up with like an idea that's gonna have the biggest impact for the amount of effort you put in is something that I feel like is like more apparent in that aspect of like, less is more. To me personally, was a very maximalist builder. Like that's like makes it easier for me to understand why I would go about. Maybe I should actually like seriously like dial it back like a little bit, maybe, but like or come at it at a different angle instead.
Yeah, you've really got to sort of like apply your energy in very efficient ways during head-to-head because you don't have all the time in the world at your disposal.
Right, for sure. There's also like the aspect of when you're sharing a project with people, when you have like a bunch of things and it's like you got all your toys everywhere and it's like messy, like all your like Legos everywhere. And it's like, come on, like I don't even want to play with you anymore because every time you play Legos, like you just be messing everything up. It's like, come on, man. Like, screw you. I'm gonna go play Legos elsewhere. It's like, hey, man, like I'm building these cool things with Legos, but also like, I know like when it's pickup time and like maybe we could build together, like together, and just figure it out as a team.
And trust me, I understood exactly what you were saying there, and I don't need any clarification. Amazing. Well, I'm sad that we didn't get a Walto show up, considering he was the main driving force behind this, but I am very glad indeed that I got to speak to you, Ethan. Always a pleasure. I'm really grateful for the insight as well.
Yeah, there's like a lot I didn't cover, especially from his perspective, and like again, because there's like a lot of things that he probably like put into it, like in terms of the actual like architecture of it, and then like his thought process of it. That may have not been like directly like in my recollection of everything, because it was also one of those things that was for a lot of it was mostly him was the main active builder on it because people are housewives. But yeah, it'd be cool if he would, but he's pinball.
You've got a pinball. When the pinball calls, you must answer it,
Some along those lines.
Is there anything about the park that you think people perhaps may have missed that you want to point out now?
Oh. That's a good question. Did people get the alien, the dancing alien? People find that?
Well, I don't know what you're on about, so
There's like a dancing alien object.
where is it? Where can I find it?
It's inside there's like a cutaway view you can there's like we got like a memorial for Fred too. I don't know if someone already pointed it out. There's like stuff inside the circus too, I think.
Let's go over and Luke.
That was actually, I think this is actually where the monkey exhibit. Because it was like the monkey was like attacking the people, and nope. And I was like monkey inside the circus. But sometimes life just gets the better of you.
Oh,
there it is. Yeah.
There he is.
Pretty good. Again, like very great, high quality craftsmanship. The 1J accessories are the Sojourner's essential.
R.I.P. R.I.P. to a real one.
Yeah. Oh, once a jerk, always a jerk.
And don't act like I've not been saying it the whole time. Once a jerk, always a jerk. Amazing.
I'm not sure if we got any yards representation though.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for now, isn't it? Do we have any evergreen gardeners? Blech. Blech. Yo, Mr. White. Jesse, we need to cook. It's just not what he sounds like. But that's the meme. Let's summon Hydro. Want a Hydro, a Barnid, or an RWE? And I will take the opportunity to thank Ethan again for talking us through this park. Always a pleasure, never a chore. You know what? If nothing else, if we don't have any evergreen gardeners around, maybe we should open the floor to everybody to, let's gas up the yards. And just, though we might not get insight, we can have a community moment where we appreciate a piece of art.
Yo, I can't see.
Oh, it's begun already, has it? All right, we're banning the can't see comments. Where this is a positive environment.
I had to turn up my brightness. I had to maximize the brightness on my laptop just to look at this.
Well, maybe you should have brought that up in your doctor's visit.
When I first saw this, my heart sank. I was like, "Oh no, we're gonna go 0-3."
Hydro. Hydrophobia. That's what it's called. Hydrophobia.
Yeah, we already did museum, Josh. And we loved every second of it. But don't worry, there's going to be a YouTube video. Well, that's what I keep telling people. Yeah, every single team, I think, opens up every single opposing park and goes, "We are fucking doomed." And that's what's been so great about this head-to-head, is that every single park has been like a potential winner, like easily.
I thought it was going to be close. I was right, as usual.
This man is always right.
Yeah. It's hard to beat my ego.
So, are there any rounds that you plan to lose?
No. But this was a pretty nice park once I was able to see it properly. It, like that late night vibe. There's places in Miami like this for sure. Even though his building style is pretty industrial Midwest.
Yeah, some of it's super.
Well, where in Miami does it look like this?
That's what I want to know, yeah.
I'd love to find out.
Wynwood, to some extent, would be a little.
There's no shade in Wynwood. It's just like concrete and murals and cocaine.
True.
There's no brick or trees.
Yeah, no, definitely industrial Midwest feel.
I really hope we get an Evergreen Gardener coming in to give us the scoop on this, because I would love to know more about it.
I think they all left the server out of shame and anticipation for round 4.
It's like a form of celibacy.
I think Six Frags is our only hope. Six Frags is an Evergreen Gardener. He's apparently here. He's on mute. Come on, Six Frags. Hans, you gotta. It's your time, man. Represent your team.
I think Hans will have to go solo. That was unappreciated.
I'm not sure he's actually here.
Oh man, he's AFKing.
Oh, he just said he's trying to talk Hydro into it, but he's busy. He's posting in the chat right now. And apparently he's in an area with lots of sleeping babies, so he can't talk.
Holy shit. Why is he in an area with lots of sleeping babies?
I hope he lives in a hospital.
Yeah, he works in a hospital nursery. He just cannot say a word, or all the babies will start screaming, vomiting.
Who, Hydro?
No, Six.
Oh, he works in a nursery? Oh, about to say, that's a career change.
Yeah, we're just making things up.
We love just making stuff up.
I'm sure Scoop does like they work in a nursery, being with our team.
I would love to just pop off on this park and just like really be a good host, but I am out of gas. I don't have any energy left.
Let Ethan narrate this part. We'll talk about it.
It's only been 2 hours and 37 minutes.
We could get Gustav to pop in and give thoughts on the park.
It's a really...
Yo, what's up, guys? It's me, Hydro. I'm here showing you guys the yards.
Oh, God.
I built this in I built this in 2 days. Just in between my architecture projects and shit.
With his
You
eyes
know?
closed.
I can't do this.
Yeah, I
gonna wake up
my parents.
Jerk too much soda.
Is Six Frags the only evergreen gardeners even in the chat right now?
Yeah, we need RWE here. The captain should have to do it. If none of the players can do it, the captain should have to do it.
Yes.
Am I the only captain here right now?
Sorry, everybody. I'm sorry that I'm late. I would love to talk about this park with everybody.
Yeah.
Is that Leon with the Jazz Cat 1?
That was apparently my Timo.
Oh, that was you. I wasn't looking at the screen. That was sorry. It's better than my AI voice of a European.
Everyone in the community is becoming a voice actor.
I did like your TED talk. I feel like the TED talk should have been about your dating advice.
Yeah.
So easy, just talk. Come on, man.
Just open your mouth. Open that yapper of yours.
Next season,
yapping.
People will have to take vocal lessons before next season starts, just so they can be ready for all these audio files and voice acting gigs and impersonations.
Give everybody auto tune. Easy.
Anyone remember auto tune the news?
Oh yeah,
that's some old internet shit. I bet Ethan doesn't remember auto tune the news.
Have you done every talk already?
Six Frags is saying, show him the pipes tab.
Oh yeah, he made
these
Wizard
things.
of Oz style pipes.
The lipstick pipes.
Where can we show that off? It's like over here, isn't it?
Yeah, they're everywhere.
They are super cool.
No,
but they're going to see a lot of mileage.
He wants the last tab, the one in the third row.
Oh my god. These colors are disgusting. Let's change them.
Based off the Wizard of Oz.
Damn. Were they built specifically for this park, or were they just something you were cooking up, Six Frags? One J Dutch.
From a coaster nerd point of view, can we talk about the coasters? Because two of them are brilliantly obscure. The one with the there we go. The hanging one is the Vertigo roller coaster that briefly opened at Wallaby, Belgium, and I think that's brilliant because I've never seen it before. It's lovely.
Is this potentially one of the first Roller Coaster Tycoon representations?
I've never seen it before.
Is it simply for the wider trains that they've used vertical coaster for the train rather than like the hairpin coaster? It's probably for all the animations as well, isn't it? For like the
I
definitely
guess
for the animations.
The hairpin coaster never did those sort of diagonals and diagonal what do you call it, like
drops and stuff.
But yeah, exactly. Like The actual vertigo was huge and disappointing.
Damn.
Whereas the vertical drop coaster here was a terrible. Well, actually, no. Let me say it was a version of the Tower of Terror at Gold Reef City. Slightly to the right, I think. There we go.
This one.
There. Yeah, that's the one. Ooh.
See if we can get one going up the lift. Damn, it really do be going at 1 mile per hour.
Yeah, it's the most intense roller coaster ever built, apparently.
That usually means you've done a bad job.
Agreed. But it still exists at Gold Reef City in South Africa. However, the ride in South Africa is about as long as Oblivion at Alton Towers.
Oh, really? So like 40 seconds.
Exactly. The one here is slightly longer.
Let's go. Wow, even when you press 4, it's still very hidden. Damn, it just keeps going. This really is just a fantastic bit of RCT. Well, it's been a bit of an anticlimax, this last one, but that is just, you know, a testament to the amazing quality of the insight that we've got from the builders of the other parks. It's a shame that we didn't get everybody to come in and talk about it, but I think it's outstanding that basically every other round, every other match has had people to talk about it. So I don't think it's a terrible thing at all that on this one occasion we didn't have anyone to come in and speak. So I'd like to thank everybody for coming down and making it such a fun experience, a fun community experience. It wouldn't be half as much fun if it weren't for you guys. I really appreciate all the speakers who came and all the builders who came and spoke about the experience and, you know, giving up all them secrets, which they don't have to do. I know a lot of it's just like, oh, I built this and it was difficult or it was easy, but it really does add a lot to the community experience to hear from you guys.
Thank you.
You're very welcome indeed.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love you all. Keep up the amazing work, and I'm really looking forward to round 4 because we've got some big builders who haven't built yet, which I'm excited to see. You're all very welcome for, you know, you're very welcome. It's well, you guys are the reason I do it, so love you all.
Thank you, Sammy. We appreciate it. You have a great night. Thank you.